Welcome to the Life on Your Terms podcast with me, your host, Tracey Liv Howard. My intention is that each episode helps you remember who you are and serves to inspire and support you to reach your most important goals and live life on your terms. Let's get into today's episode. In this episode, I'm going to talk about the awakening and shifts that are happening with so many people right now, and how they're coming from our deep desire to be real. We're going to talk about how people as entrepreneurs and professionals and parents and friends, if we're not being real, we can feel pretty awful in our lives. And so if you're wanting to turn up the dial and be more real in your life, please listen on. Look at just in the last few years. Look at the Great Resignation, where so many people quit their jobs, to quiet quitting, where people are disengaged in the workplace, to low birth rates and how so many more people have unplanned childlessness, to obesity and lifestyle-related deaths that are causing 60% of all deaths are due to our lifestyle. There are many challenges that we're experiencing in the world, and from how we spend time at work, to our family, to our health, we're in this weird moment of being told that these are the best of times in history. I mean, considering all the crazy stuff that's happened in the past. And yet, a lot of us are still feeling unsettled, and it's showing up in our life. Well, what that unsettled feeling is that people are saying, wait a second, this is not me. This is not real for me. More and more people are looking around and saying, I want to live in a way that's more real and true for me. You know, that's not true for me. What is true? You know, and Deepak Chopra said, inside all of us is a deep desire to be real, the real us, you know, real in what we say, real in what we do, real in how we do business or how we show up in the world, you know, real, the real Tracey in all of her glory. Okay. And I had a great coaching session with my coach, Marie, a few years ago. I still remember this session like it was yesterday. I was talking to her about how in business, I wasn't being the real me. I was saying a message that I somewhat believed in order to attract clients. And I was mainly talking about helping people make money. And what the real me wanted to talk about was what I'm talking about now in this podcast. You know, growth, goals, consciousness, supporting people to step into their truth. And I remember this session because I told her that I started to listen to the Eminem song, you know, The Real Slim Shady. Hi, my name is The Real Slim Shady. And I started to sing that song and call it The Real Tracey Liv. And before I would make a video or post content, I would listen to The Real Tracey Liv to remind me to be the real me, and that the world wants the real me, that real Slim Shady. And nobody wants the people-pleasing Slim Shady or the Slim Shady that does things so that everybody likes them. You know, I love what I do, and I honestly love walking throughout the world because I think people are so interesting. I love when people are just being themselves. I mean, don't you? Like, in all their glory. It makes me laugh. It makes me more playful. It makes me more curious of like, wow, look at how real that person is being. And that's, for me, very attractive. Like, I'm attracted to realness. And in short, we could be terrified of being real because it has these like worries or consequences that maybe it's unsafe to be real. Maybe it's not mainstream to be real. Or if I actually acted out what was real to me, there just could be a lot of consequences. And we've been taught to be white sheep in a world where the world is desperately wanting more black sheeps. We want more people who are going to be real. This message is so important. I hope this is resonating with you. You know, being real actually in what I've seen in terms of success, entrepreneurship, growth, helping people realize their dreams, is that actually the more real people are, the more infinite abundance, potentials, experiences, things that people have attracted come into their life because that real self is calling that in. Just like the real Slim Shady was showing all of us, hey, come on, be real, be you. You're going to offend people. You're going to excite people. Just be you. And that's going to attract things into your life. And I also believe that being real is where we get the most meaning in our life. Like, it's meaningful to be real. It's where you and I can feel more whole and more alive. And isn't that what we desire? I mean, our desire to be real is because it's actually the state of being that we crave the most. So this all boils down to the point that in order to be real, we must know ourselves. And in order to know ourselves, we must every day cultivate time and space and practices to connect into ourselves, to make our inner world, our inner dialogue, our just hanging out with ourself a very important part of our life. To get to know yourself, you're the number one person in your life. You should be best friends with yourself. You should literally be besties with you. You know, when we spend time with ourselves and we connect to what's real and true for us, we're then able to actually understand what is real from maybe an illusion or a story that we've heard from outside of what we should be, right? Like, you know, what's real to us might not be the same as the story or narrative that we've been played in our life. And some of it could be, and that's great. You know, not everything has to be, you know, an opposite of how we were raised. Some things could be absolutely true for us, but I think it's very important for you and I to think about that. And, you know, it's actually letting go of a lot of things. When we become more real, we actually let go of a lot of weight and stuff that's not true and real for us. And we're real in this big, powerful way that's almost like less is more. The more real we are, the more it's easy. We can be lighter in a state of flow, and just be more liberated. I think sometimes it's very hard for us, at least for me, to talk about what my real self is. What do I really think, or, you know, who I really am? Because, of course, I want to be understood. Like, we all have a desire to be real and then a desire to be understood. But this can be somewhat dangerous, because in order to be understood requires that other people can understand us. It requires that we have the right words to say to describe what's real. They need to be also in the right state of consciousness or frame of mind. They have to have the same context as us. And people can't always fully understand. And I want to give all of us permission to say, we don't need other people to understand what's real for us. It is absolutely a gift if a few people could understand. However, you have to use your discernment to maybe find just one person for maybe an aspect of yourself that's real, where you want to dive into that together. That's why being in like-minded communities are actually deeply rewarding and fulfilling, because you don't have to explain everything in order for your realness to be understood. So we are in a crisis of isolation, a crisis of loneliness, of being physically, emotionally separate from other people. And then therefore we are much more cut off from ourselves. There are places where we need to be in the mix of like-minded people, because that realness for us can expand and grow. And I think that's just really the point I wanted to make today, is that go ahead, name the real Slim Shady after yourself. You know, I'm the real Tracey Live, and I have made it an intention to stop filtering and masking my realness, and to make it a real intention to just show up more and more fully just as me. And it's a persona that you can step into the real Slim Shady version of you. You know, listen to that song, you know, listen to this podcast as a reminder that you being real is going to be a direct path to whatever you're wanting to create in your life. Like, you being real is going to create that. It's going to be one and the same, because who you are as a person is what you attract. So the more real you are, the more you're going to attract those things to you. And so get in tune with that. I hope this message was inspiring today. Do something that's super real for you and watch what happens. A big thank you for listening to this episode. I truly hope you got what you needed. If you want to get more from me each week, make sure you subscribe so you don't miss any episodes or bonus content. To be notified of new episodes, workshop opportunities, and more, subscribe to my email list by heading to the link in this episode description. I'm wishing you joy, happiness, and love.